What's going on from Clown Maths? This is the 2022 National 5 Applications of Maths Paper 2 that you've all been requesting. Let's go. 2022 National 5 Applications of Maths Paper 2. Question 1 said a soft drinks company currently has sales of 240,000 bottles in a year. It is predicted that sales will decrease by 4.2% the next year, then increase by 5.3%. Find the predicted value after 30 years. So this is an appreciation and depreciation question, all in the one question. So the first thing is decreasing by 4.2%. So I need to do 100% minus 4.2%. And that gives me 95.8%, which as a decimal is 0.958. You just divide it by 100. Doing the same for the increase, I need to do 100% plus 5.3%, 105.3%, or 1.053. At the moment, you have got 2 marks, one for getting each of those decimals. Now to get your sum. So we've got 240,000 times 0.958 times 1.053. And now I need to check, is there any years or powers I need to add on? So it's decreased by 4.2% next year, so that's just 1, 5.3% in each of the following 2 years. So 1.053 squared. If I can get the squared and the sum, then I get a mark there. And then our final mark is just for getting the answer and rounding it. So we put it all in a calculator and you get 254937.36 and a bunch of other numbers. But we round that to 3 significant figures. So that's 1, 2, 3. We're cutting here. So that becomes 2, 5. The 4 rounds up to 5. And then I put zeros for the rest up to the point. So I've got 1, 2, 3 more numbers. And I bet I put my pound sign in to be on the safe side as well. £255,000 for our final mark. SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 2 says the price of lambs sold in September was recorded. A sample of the prices in pounds is shown. Calculate the mean. Calculate the mean, add them up, divide by how many. So you get 72 plus 75 plus 73 plus 68 plus 65 plus 70. There's 6 numbers, so I'm going to divide the whole answer by 6. And we just shove all that straight in a calculator. If you use brackets, you can do it in one go. And you will get 70.5 as the final answer for 1 mark. Standard deviation is a formula given at the start of the exam paper. And you're given this formula. And I always use the top one, because I find that easy to work with, but you might have used the bottom one. So I'm going to use the top one for this question. So there's all our data, and I find it easy just to draw a table. So let me just fill this in, X, and then write all our numbers. And then in the middle goes X minus X bar, and then X minus X bar squared. If you're going to try and remember that, if you look at the formula, it says X minus X bar on the top, and then it says X minus X bar squared. So you're taking it from the formula. X bar remembers our mean, and we just calculated that as 70.5. So just a little note on the side, X bar equals 70.5. So in the middle, we do X minus X bar. So 72 minus 70.5 gives me 1.5. 75 minus 70.5 gives me 4.5. 73 minus 70.5 gives me 2.5. 68 minus 70.5 is minus 2.5. 65 minus 70.5 is minus 5.5. And 70 minus 70.5 is minus 0.5. In our next column, we need to square each of those numbers. So we times them by themselves. So 1.5 squared is 2.25. And we're using a calculator for all this work. 4.5 squared is 20.25. 2.5 squared is 6.25. 2.5 squared again, 6.25. 5.5 squared is 30.25 and 0.5 squared is 0.25. I remember I did that in my head, but you can use a calculator for that. And then at the bottom you get a total. So you add up all of these numbers. If you add them all up using a calculator, you get 65.5. So that means we can work out our standard deviation is just the square root of the number we just found out divided by 1 less than how many numbers we've got. So we've got 6 to start with, so I divide by 5. And we can do all of that in a calculator. Press the square root, open a bracket, 65.5 divided by 5, close your bracket. And if you do that, you get an answer of 3.62. And we're done. So where are you getting the marks for that? Well, you get a mark for calculating your x minus x bar correctly, 2.25, 20.25, 6.25 twice, 30.25 and 0.25. So you need to get that far. And then a mark for substituting into the square root and a mark for the final answer. Obviously, you can use the other method if you prefer as well. So when it says make two value comparisons, it means compare the mean and compare the standard deviation. The mean is easy. We'll start off with the mean. Keyword for comparing the mean, you have to say on average. You need to use the word average. If you do not, you'll not get any mark regardless of what you say. So on average, and then just compare the biggest and the smallest. So it's £70.20, and before we got £70.50. And remember, before was September, and now it is October. On average, more lambs are sold in September. You could say because £70.50 is bigger than £7.20. You don't actually have to say because £7.50 was bigger than £7.20. You used to in the past, but you'll get away with just the first sentence there. But I would urge you just to put in the extra bit just to be on the safe side if you're doing this year. So next we'll pick out a standard deviation, and all you need to remember about standard deviation is use the word consistent. Smaller standard deviation, more consistent. So this is about the prices of lambs. Price of lambs standard deviation in August was £3.85, but in September it was £3.62. So the prices of lambs was more consistent in September. So that's all we need to write. The prices of lambs was more consistent in September. Alternatively, you could have said less consistent in August, or more spread out in August, or less spread out in September. All these things would work. I would always write because, and then write in my standard deviations, £3.62 is less than their number in August of £3.85. SQA National 5 Maths 2022 applications. Paper 2, question 3 said Laura earns £40,000 and £560, £40,560 per annum. National insurance is paid on a person's salary before deductions, such as pension contributions, blah. SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2022, Paper 2, question 3 said Laura earns £40,560 per annum. National insurance is calculated on a person's salary before deductions, such as pension contributions, and there's a table for it. Calculate her national insurance payment. Let's have a look at this table. It says up to 9,568, you get 0%. Between 9,568 and 50,270, you pay 12%, and then above that, which won't account for this person, 2%. You do not just do 12% of £40,560 because you pay no interest on the first amount. So you have to work out the difference between 40,560 and this lower limit of 9,568. So step 1, I need to do 40,560 minus 9,568. Remember, that's all calculator work. So in a calculator, that is 30,992. And that is 1 mark there. Our second mark is then for calculating 12% of that. So we do 12% of 30,992. So in a calculator, times by 12, divide by 100, and you get 3719.04. And we're done there. Remember, 2 decimal places because it's money. SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2022, Paper 2, Question 4. Quite a long question, this one. But let's look at it to start with. A company produces sandwiches and packs them in crates for transport into shops. The dimensions of the sandwich box and the crate are shown, with the filling label has to be placed on top. That's the limit how many sums we need to do. The sandwich boxes need to be laid with a filling label on top. They must be aligned in the same direction. Calculate the maximum number of sandwiches that have been fitted into each crate. Okay, so here's how I always think of this. I draw myself a table. And I always start off with my big box, or my big crate, or whatever it is. And I write down the dimensions. Now let's just check these dimensions first of all. 1 centimetres and 1 is metres, so be careful to change them all to the same. So I'm just going to keep everything as centimetres because that's easy to work with. So I'm going to change all of these into centimetres by timesing them by 100. So I've got 65 centimetres. I've got 48 centimetres. And I've got 25 centimetres. So then we just do our options for our small box. So option 1, let's just start with that. If we look at it, the filling has to stay there, so I can have the 15 going along with the 65. So I now just do 65 divided by 15. And if that happens, I'll have the 10 going along here and the 8 going up here. So 48 divided by 10 and 25 divided by 8. So there is our first bunch of sums. That gives you 4.33, which you need to round to 4. That gives you 4.8, but then you need to use 4 because you can't get bits of a box, and the next number gives you 3.1, but again you can't use bits of a box, so it's 3. So we've got 443 for option 1. So to work out how many can be fit in this way, we just times those answers together. 4 times 4 times 3, 4 4s is 16, 16 times 3 is 48. So that's one way we could do it. But remember, we could turn our box around. It still has to stay facing up, but the 10 side could be going along this way as well. So for option 2, we just start off with our 65 again, but this time we're going to divide that by 10. If that's the case, our 15 is going up here. So it's 48 divided by 15. Which means the last sum must be 25 divided by 8. So we do all of those sums. 65 divided by 10 is 6.5, which we need to round to 6. 48 divided by 15 is 3.2, which we need to round to 3. And 25 divided by 8 is 3.1, which again means we've got 3 can fit in. So our total number is 6 times 3 times 3. Which is 54. Last check to see if there's any more options. Well, I've got my box going that way and I turn it round and the box can go that way. But there's no other way I can put that in without tipping it, but I have to have the label facing up the way, so I'm done. So I now just pick the best option. The best option is clearly this option, so you can just write maximum of 54 boxes. So you get a mark for each of those options and a mark for your final answer. SQA National 5 Applications in Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 4b. A company receives an order for 100 sandwiches. It takes 7 employees, 44 minutes, and it makes 100 sandwiches. And we want to know how long it takes 11 employees to make the same 100 sandwiches. So usually, if it wasn't work done problem here, I would divide by 7 to get 1 employee, 44 divided by 7, and then times by 11 to get 11 employees. But because it's work done, it'll take less time, not more. So it's the inverse, it's inverse proportion. So instead, the sum we need to do for the middle part is 44, and we times that by 7, and then we divide our answer by 11. So let's just do it in stages. 44 times 7, we get 308. So we do 308 divided by 11 employees, and we get a final answer of 28 minutes. For 3 marks, the 3 marks here are knowing you had to times by 7 and divide by 11. So if you've got times 7 divide by 11 anywhere, even if your sums are wrong, you will get a mark anyway, and then a mark for each of the sums. Okay. Now you could obviously do the sums in one go if you wanted to, and that would be fine as well. SQA National 5 Application of Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 4b said, Isaac sells sandwiches in his shop. He spent a total of £92.65 on sandwiches including delivery. He then sold 10 chicken for £2.50, 15 prawn for £3.20 each, and 9 egg mayo for £1.95 each. Calculate the percentage loss Isaac made for this order. Well, I'm going to have to work out how much in total he sold his sandwiches for. So I'm going to have to do 10 times 250, 15 times 320, then 9 times 195, and then get a total, and then I'll work out the percentage loss after that. Okay. So total selling price, I need to do 10 times £2.50. Well, that is 25. 15 times £3.20. That is 48. And 9 times £1.95. £17.55. Adding them all up together, you get £90.55. So there's step 1 for 1 mark. Now we need to calculate how much he lost. So the amount that he paid was £92.65, take away £90.55. So for a second mark, just do £92.65 minus £90.55, and we get an answer of £2.10 or 2.1. I'll just write it as a number, £2.10 money. Okay. At this point, we've not done any percentages, and you've got 2 marks. So even if you couldn't do a percentage part, you can still get 2 marks out of 3. But let's just do our last percentage mark. We need to calculate the percentage loss. To do a percentage loss, or to calculate that as a percentage of the original, we just do our £2.10 divided by the original amount, which is £92.65, and then times by 100 because it's percent, so out of 100. If you do that sum, you get 2.266. And you could round that or just leave it, 2.266% for a final mark. SQA National 5 Maths 2022 applications. Paper 2, question 4 said the table shows the cost of a box of sandwiches in pounds. Number of boxes of sandwiches ordered, 0 to 9, 10 to 19, 20 to 29 or 30 or more. And then the price of each type. And it says for each order the company charges £2.75 per mile for delivery. Yolanda's sandwich shop places an order for 20 chicken, 30 prawn, 15 egg mayo. Calculate the distance travelled is 6 miles. What is the total cost of this order? So quite a bit of work to do here. Keep your head on. Let's do each bullet point separately and then add on the price for the distance. So starting off with chicken. We have got 20 chicken salad times, well, 20 is in this column, 20 to 29. Chicken salad is here, £1.75. Note it is not £1.75 for all 20 boxes, it's per box. It's just that the more you order, the less you pay. And then we need to do prawn. I'll do the answers to the sums in a moment. So for prawn, she ordered 30 times. And prawn, well, 30 would be on this one. Down here, £2.05. And then egg, well, she ordered 15 times, so I'll go along to 15, 10 to 20, 19, down to egg, £1.45. So I need to do all of these sums. 20 times £1.75 is 35. 30 times £2.5, and I'm using a calculator, 61.5 or £61.50 because it's money. And 15 times 1.45, I get £21.75. Now I need to get my total, so I'm just going to add them up. I'll just put a little add thing here. I am not going to add this without a calculator, so I'll get my calculator, make sure I type in my numbers correctly, and I get £118.25. So far, we have got 2 marks. You would get a mark for identifying these prices without doing the sums. As long as you could identify you had to times by these numbers, you get a mark, and then a mark for getting all the answers and adding them up properly. So that's 2 out of 3. Third part of the question, the total cost of the order. Well, we've got the cost of the order, but we need the distance. It's £2.75 per mile, 6 miles. So adding on my distance, £2.75 times 6, that's £16.50. So in total, we need to add them together. So we're going to add the last figures and get a final answer of 134.75. And we're done there for our third mark. SQA National 5 Application of Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 5 had this large looking question. It says, an international event, athletics events held in Doha, Qatar, and athletics competitors in the heptathlon must complete 7 different events. The competitors are awarded points depending on how well they perform in each event. The table shows the number of points awarded for different levels of performance in each of the events. So we need to use this table, obviously. And then one of the competitors achieved a height of 1.95 metres in the high jump. Use the table to state how many points they scored for the high jump. So our key number is 1.95 metres and it's high jump. So I look for the high jump first. There it is here. And I go down to where 1.95 is. There it is here. And I read off how many points you get for that. On the left, points scored 1160. And I just write it in. 1160. For 1 mark. A B of this question says the final event of the heptathlon is an 800 metre run. In this event, another of the competitors scored 1,000 points. By referring to the table, calculate this competitor's average speed over the 800 metre run. Give your answer in metres per second. So let's have a look at the table. 800 metre run, 1,000 points. So the 800 metre run is over here. We got 1,000 points, which is here. So where they cross, it took them 2 minutes and 8 seconds. So there's a key number. It tells us a time, 2 minutes, 8 seconds. So I can write the time equals 2 minutes and 8 seconds. I know the distance because it's an 800 metre run. And I have to work out the speed. Well, there's lots of ways you can memorise all your speed, distance, time equations or know one of them and rearrange it. Or one simple way is distance, speed and time. And we want to work out the speed. So if we just cover up the speed, it tells us to do distance divided by time. So speed is distance divided by time. Now we need to make sure we get this right. Our time is quoted as metres per second. So I need all this in seconds. So the first thing I need to do is change my time from 2 minutes, 8 seconds, all to seconds. So my time, working on that, well, 2 minutes is 2 times 60 seconds, which is 120. So our total time is equal to 128 seconds. So now I can do my sum, 800 metres divided by 128 seconds. Using a calculator, you get 6.25 metres per second. SQA National 5 Maths Applications 2022 Paper 2 Question 2, Paper 2 Question 5, Part C. Lucy's a sports journalist. She's travelled to Doha to report on an international athletics event. She flew from Manchester to Doha. Her flight landed in Doha at 19:18. The flying time was 7 hours 23. Doha's 2 hours ahead of Manchester. Calculate the local time when she left Manchester. So this is working backwards. We're going to start at Doha at 19:18. So there's Doha. That's where we've ended up at 19:18. And then flight time. Well, the flight took 7 hours 23 minutes. Now, I'm not adding 7 hours 23 minutes. I'm going back to Manchester, so I'm taking away 7 hours 23 minutes. So if I take away 7 hours, first of all, 19 minus 7, 18. And then I can take away the 23 minutes. So I'll take away 18 minutes. This is a nice and easy way to do this, to get 12 o'clock. And then I've got 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 minutes to go. So minus 5 mins, and I get to 11:55. And that's what time she left Manchester. And that would be fine if there wasn't a difference in time. But it now says Doha is 2 hours ahead of Manchester. Now I've started on Doha time, so I'm still on Doha time, but that's 2 hours later than it should be, so I need to take away the 2 hours. So I now do 11:55 minus 2 hours to get 9:55 for our final mark. SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 5D. When she was in Qatar, Lucy stayed in a hotel. She changed £1,500 to Qatari Rials. She stayed for 8 nights. Room rate was $418 per night. She spent 1836 on other expenses. She then changed all her remaining Rials into euros. The rates are as follows. £1 is this many Rials, and £1 is this many euros. Calculate how many euros Lucy received. First step, I suppose I have to do, if you look at each of the bullet points, she was spending Rials and Rials. But I don't know how many Rials she had to start with, because she had £1,500. So I'm going to have to change that into Rials. So step 1, 1,500 times 4.67, because £1 is 4.67 Rials. So I do that sum and I get 7,005 Rials. Don't know what the symbol is for a Rial, so I'll just write it. Bullet point, she stayed for 8 nights and it cost 418 Rials per night. So 8 times 418 is 3344. But the second bullet point says she also spent 1836. So I need to add on 1836. And then all these sums in a calculator. So I need to work out how much she's got left over. She started with 7,005 and she spent 5,180. So it's 7,005 minus 5,180. 1825. Left. And now it says change all it back into euros. Well, I can't go to euros straight away because it doesn't go to euros, it's pounds it goes to. So I go back to pounds and then from pounds to euros. You can't immediately go from one to the other. So I take what I've got, 1825, and divide by 4.67 to change it back to pounds. Now we can do all this in one step, but I'm going to do it in stages. So 1825 divided by 4.67 equals 390.7922. 390.79 then pounds. Changing that to euros, I'll do 390.79, but now I need to times because I'm going forward in the table, £1.16. Gives me 453.316. So 453.32, rounded to 2 decimal places because it's money. No pound sign, that's wrong. It's Rials, euros. Write the euro sign or just write euros. And we're done there. SQA National 5 Application of Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 6 said, Pepe inspects and sells fire extinguishers. His monthly gross pay consists of a basic wage plus commission on the sale of any fire extinguishers. The rate of commission he earns depends on the mean price he sells each fire extinguisher for, as shown. Mean price, rate of commission. Says in January, Pepe's basic wage was £1,200. He sold 107 fire extinguishers for a total of £8,185.50. Calculate his gross pay. So, I need to work out the mean price of the fire extinguishers, the average price. So I need to do the total that he got for the fire extinguishers divided by how many. So the mean is going to equal 8185.50 divided by 107. And we can use a calculator to get that, to get 76.5 or £76.50. So that's a mark, step one. And then we need to work out his commission. So we look in this table to see where £76.50 lies. That's between 70 and 79, 15.5%. So we can do 15.5% of £76.50. And when we do that sum in a calculator, we get 1268.75. So then we need to calculate his commission. So £76.50 means he gets 15.5%. So it's 15.5% of his total sales, 8185.50. So we do that sum in a calculator by times the number and divided by 100, and you get 1268.75. And therefore, we can work out this person's total wage by doing 1200, so just like wage, plus 1268.75, and you get 2468.75. For your final mark. SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 6b says Pepe sells 3 different types of fire extinguishers. In February he sold water, foam and powder in the ratio 6:7. He sold 56 powder fire extinguishers. Calculate the total number of fire extinguishers. So here's our ratio, 6, 2 and 7. That's my water, that's my foam and that's my powder. And he did 56 powder. So if I write 56 directly under powder, you should be able to see that I can work out what I need to times by to get 56 from 7. So I can do 56 divided by 7 is equal to 8. So I'm timesing by 8. So I times everything by 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 6 is 48. So then I can add all them together to get a total number, which is 120. You get a mark for knowing to times by 8 and a mark for 120. SQA National 5 Applications Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 6b says a customer wants to buy 12 powder fire extinguishers and 12 stands. The recommended price of one powder is £78 and the price of a stand is £15. But the following deals are available. Company A, Company B, Company C. To encourage the company to buy from him instead, Pepe offers a 5% discount on the cheapest of these deals. How much will Pepe charge the company? Well, we're going to have to work out how much each deal is to find the cheapest one and then take away 5%. So Company A, it says buy 2 fire extinguishers and get 1 free. So I'm buying 12. Every time you buy 2, you get 1 free. So that is 3 fire extinguishers. So I need to do 12 divided by 3, which is 4. So that means I'm going to get 4 deals, which means I'm going to do 4 times 2, which is 8 fire extinguishers. So I need to work out the cost of 8 fire extinguishers. 8 times £78. But then I've got the price of the stands. The recommended price of one stand is £15, but all stands are reduced by £2.50, so that now makes £12.50. So I need to add on 12 times £12.50. Do both of these sums in a calculator and add them together and you will get £774. Okay, deal B, so remember we're buying 12 of each. Deal B says a sixth of the recommended price of all fire extinguishers and you get a free stand. So we don't need to work out the price of any of the stands, we just need to do a sixth of the price of the fire extinguishers. So the recommended price is £78. So we can do 1/6 of 78. 78 divided by 6, in other words, is 13. So the price of the extinguisher is 78 minus 13. 65 each. And we're buying 12. 12 times 65 is £780. Now we just need to check C. C says 12 powder fire extinguishers and 12 stands for £900. Oh, well, no something to do there, it costs £900. So, best deal equals A, because it's the cheapest. And then it says, to encourage people to buy from him, he gets 5% discount. So I need to do 5% of 774. Again, this is all calculator. We could do it without. £38.70. That's how much you're getting off. So it's 774 minus 38.70 gives you a grand total of 735.50 for your final mark. Now the marks on this are a little bit rubbish. You get 1 mark in total for doing A, so if you do any wrong you lose a mark. You get 1 mark for doing B and then 1 mark for your final. And note on the final one as well, instead of doing 5% of it and then taking it away, you could have done it using the multiplier method and just done 0.95 times 774 and you would have got the answer straight away. SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 6D. Pepe inspects the fire extinguishers of a local business. The fire extinguishers are considered safe if they weighed 10.4 kilos plus or minus 10%. The weights of the fire extinguishers inspected are shown. What is the maximum and minimum weights and determine the fraction that was safe? It's okay. So our max and our min. If we're adding 10%, we can times by 1.1, or we can just do 10% and then add it on. It's up to you. 1.1 times 10.4, or like I said, do 10% of 10.4, then add it on. That gives you a maximum of 11.44 kilograms. And then taking away 10% from 100% is 90%, so that's 0.9 times 10.4, which will give me a minimum of 9.36 kilograms. Or alternatively, like I said, do 10%, which is 1.04, and then just take that away from 10.4 to get 9.0636 and add it on to get 11.44. Now we need to work out how many are safe. So it has to go between 9.36 and 11.44. So you can just tick the ones that are okay. That one's okay. 11.67 is not okay. 9.12 is lower. 10.94 is in between. 11.10 is in between. 9.27 is too small. And 10.55 is in between. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 that are safe out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. So it's 4/7 that are considered safe for our final mark. 1 for max, 1 for min, 1 for final. SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2022 Paper 2 Question 7 says, Part A, Jamal keeps fish. To make tap water safe for fish, a conditioner is added. The volume of conditioner required is directly proportional to the volume of tap water. 5 mils of conditioner is used for every 20,000 millilitres of tap water. Calculate the volume condition for 14 litres. So we know that 5 millilitres is used for 20,000 millilitres of water. And that's conditioner. I'll just write conditioner. What's the volume for 14 litres? So let's do 1 litre. Divide by 20, so 5 divided by 20, 5 millilitres. And then we can go to 14 litres by times and by 14. To get 3.5 millilitres for our final mark. SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2022, Paper 2, Question 7b. Jamal has a fish tank. The fish tank is a cuboid with by 30 by 30 by 42, as shown. The tank has a cylindrical light box at the bottom, as shown. The cylindrical light box has a diameter of 10 and a height of 8. There's a 2 centimetre gap between the top of the tank and the water level. The light box does not hold any water. Calculate the volume of water in the tank. So, bit of a long one, this one. We're going to have to work out the total volume of this tank minus that gap. Now, you might as well just get rid of the gap straight before you do that. That is 42 centimetres, so only up to here, the top is 40 because there's a 2 centimetre gap. So the volume of water without box, without cylinder, say, is equal to 40 times 30 times 30. That's 36,000 centimetres cubed. But there's this cylinder that's taking up some space, so I need to take away the cylinder to see how much water would be here. So I need to work out the volume of the cylinder. So for a cylinder, it's pi r squared times the height. So that's pi times, let's just look at our thing, diameter of 10, so that's 5 squared times 8. Get a mark for pi times 5 squared times 8, by the way, and then for working that out using a calculator, you get 628.318 square cubic centimetres. And we've already got a mark for 36,000 cubic centimetres for your water without the cylinder. So putting them together, we need to take them away to get rid of the cylinder. So we've got 36,000 minus 628.318. That gives us a final answer of 35371.6 centimetres cubed. It doesn't ask us to give us the volume of the water in litres or anything, so I'll just leave it as centimetres cubed, but you could change that to that is the same as millilitres, just for future reference. SQA National 5 Applications of Maths 2022, Paper 2, Question 7c. Jamal bought a stand for the fish tank. The top of the stand is circular. Doesn't look very circular, but okay. The corners of the square bush and tank touch the edge of the circle as shown. The diameter of the circle is shown by the dotted line. That's an aerial view. And then it says, calculate the area of the top of the stand. Give your answer in square metres. So we don't know how long the diameter of the circle is. So we cannot work out the area of the circle because we don't know the radius. But we have got a square and we've got a right angle triangle. So we can use Pythagoras. So if I put a right angle here, to get this, I'll call that D. Then I will be doing 30 squared plus 30 squared equals D squared because of Pythagoras. If you do 30 squared plus 30 squared, then you get D squared equals 1,800. So the diameter is the square root of 1,800, which is 42.426 centimetres. So I now know my diameter, so I can use pi r squared to get the area of the circle. Area equals pi r squared. So our radius is equal to 21.213, or just put 21.21. We have to do it in square metres. So first, what we could do, you've got two options: change your centimetres to metres, or change your answer to square metres. I think it's easy to change your centimetres to metres. So in metres, dividing, there's 100 centimetres in a metre, so dividing that, I get 0.2121 metres. So just watch out for them trying to trick you and putting in this little bit here. So now we can just do it, pi times 0.2121 squared. That gives you 0.14137 metres squared. Now, if you had done it in centimetres, you would have got 1413.7 centimetres squared, but you'd have to divide by 100, and then divide by 100 again, because it's area instead of linear scale factor. But I think it's easy to do it that way. So it's up to you. That's worth 4 marks. So where are you getting your marks? You're getting your marks for Pythagoras, 30 squared plus 30 squared, a mark for when working out the diameter, a mark for then using pi r squared, and then a final mark for getting it correct in square metres. This has been Claire on Maths. Today we've looked at the 2022 National 5 Applications of Maths Paper 2 paper. Hopefully you found that helpful and useful. Any comments would be great, and just like and subscribe to the channel. Take care, stay safe, and goodbye.